Hello, my name is John Garza. I'll be talking about our project for Deviation Dialogue, and this is Highway 5362. For this project, who did I interview? I interviewed Matt Olmsted. He's Director of Operations and Strategic Initiatives for the College of Education here at Sam Houston State University. Matt also has experience in community college and both the university level dealing with budgets. The first question I asked Matt was to describe the toughest budget issue he has ever faced. Matt explained how he came from the Lone Star College to Sam Houston State University, and his first time being here at Sam Houston State University, he inherited a budget issue that was $2 million in deficit, had many expenses with no money to pay them, and had to make budget cuts. So they ended up making a 3-year deal to continue to keep staff but continue to make revenue at the same time. So the biggest challenge for him during that time was a $2 million deficit. After learning about Matt's toughest budget experience, I asked him to describe how you decrease expenses and or increase revenue. For starters, he explained how you have to find revenue in ways no one else has thought of. So definitely being creative as much as possible and finding sponsorships to increase revenue. He went on to explain how 80% of higher education's budget is salary. So it's kind of hard to decrease expenses when majority is salary. So he said for us to look at the operating expenses, and also, for example, to decrease expenses, we can have hiring chills waiting to post certain positions, are looking to see if people are actually going to come back, or if they want to replace that position that was recently left empty. Explain the political pressures you face in terms of financial management and budgeting issues. So Matt explained how there's a lot of political pressures on you when dealing with budgets, especially when it comes to answering the chancellor, pressures from entities to the board, examples like Bill and Linda Gates, who contribute to higher ed, keeping taxpayers happy, and also keeping the state happy as well. So there's a lot of different political pressures on you when you have to handle budgets. I then asked, what do you think higher education resources will look like in 5 years? So Matt explained how the pandemic has changed a lot of things. A lot of colleges are going to online education funds since a lot of students realize they don't need to be in class. Universities get funds if students take online classes. Resources shift to online, and tuition becomes more expensive as well. Question 5. What advice would you give new or mid level professionals about learning how to make budgetary decisions and being successful at it? So Matt explained, understand you do not know everything. Also create connections and learn on the experts in the field. So definitely network with people and understand that there's things that you may not always know and that there are other people out there to help you as well. Now for question 6, I will start answering the 3 questions that I created for the assignment. For number 6, what people or offices do you normally have to work with to create or handle budget issues? Matt explained how he works with department chairs, the dean, associate deans, and budget office. He works specifically under the dean for the College of Education, so making sure every department has their own budget for their department as well, and making sure everything goes through the budget office. Question 7. Has the pandemic changed the way budgets are created in your department? So Matt explained how the pandemic has changed a lot of things recently with the other question he addressed. For this one, he explained how travel money wasn't used during the pandemic, aligning the budget to the strategic plan and how the way they look at budgets has changed, and how many people have actually left higher ed, both students, faculty, and staff that have left higher ed, and how it has impacted the budget. For our last question, I asked how might budgets differ between community colleges and four-year universities. Matt explained how community colleges are funded by taxpayers, tuition, and state appropriations. Universities are funded by all of those except for taxpayers. Lone Star, for example, can make decisions internally, whereas universities cannot. So that's kind of the gist of how they differ between colleges and four-year universities. So to close the assignment, my closing thoughts and lessons that I have learned from this assignment. Number one is 80% of higher education budget is salary. it's kind of hard to make those decisions to decrease expenses when 80% of it is salary. So that's something I did learn from Matt. Number two, higher education is shifting to online education. And number three, how much the pandemic has impacted higher education, such as people leaving higher education, shifting to online education, the resources, and the tuition increases as well. That is all from me, and I hope you guys enjoy this presentation and learn something out of it. Thank you.